Good evening, everybody. We'll start with our regular session of Organon. We are discussing regarding the intermittent diseases, right from the aphorism number 231. So Hahnemann classified intermittent diseases into two varieties. The first variety he explains alternating diseases, where one state of disease alternates with another state of disease at specific intervals, and they are the products of chronic diseases, the SORA, most commonly the SORA, and very occasionally alternating with syphilitic myasm. Hahnemann explains over there that line of treatment in alternating diseases is definitely antisoric if it is soric one, and if it is soric alternating with syphilitic, the remedy should be antisyphilitic alternating with antisoric. And such episodes you have to tackle with one remedy also in modern case, because we have ample remedies which are having alternating steps. The second variety, the typical intermittent diseases, he has classified into two types, the non-febrile variety and febrile variety. The non-febrile variety is again a product of SORA, generally, but occasionally alternating with syphilis. And again, the line of treatment remains to be the same, antisoric or antisoric, alternating with antisyphilitic. But one important thing which Hahnemann have explained in treating such types of non-febrile variety of intermittent diseases is that give a single dose of a potentized cinchona to remove the periodicity in such types of cases. And that is very essential hint given by Hahnemann to explain about the non-febrile variety, non-febrile variety of intermittent diseases. Thereafter, he started explaining about the second part of the typical intermittent diseases, that is the febrile variety called as or known as intermittent fevers. And intermittent fevers, again, he has classified into two types. The one where the sporadic and epidemic diseases are prevalent. Then he explained the homeopathic management of it. And while explaining the homeopathic management of it, he explained there are two important things to which we have to give the importance. First, you have to find it out the states, whether there are two states alternating with each other, or whether it is three states alternating with each other. And you have to find it out all varieties by permutation and combination, and according to the repertory, you have to find it out the right remedy for the specific permutation and combination. One more thing which he has mentioned, when such type of intermittent fever happens, the in-between period where the patient's state of health is present, during that time, whatever the symptoms may persist, those symptoms gives you a right indication for the right remedy. And these are two things on the basis of which you have to select remedy, which is not antisoric at all. See, this is too important hint. In case of non-febrile variety, he explains antisoric. In case of alternating diseases, he explains antisoric. But here he explains the remedy which is matched with that specific totality or state, that you have to find it out a remedy for that. And you have to prescribe remedy for that. Then in yesterday's lectures, we have learned exact timings when one should prescribe remedy. So he explained over there that the state in between where the state of health reappears, during early phase of that state, you have to give the remedy. Because during that period, patient is in a convalescence mode or patient is in recovery mode, and vital force in a stable state where vital force reacts in a proper manner, and it is possible to remove the disease state of the human. If you prescribe by chance during the early phase, that is in the chill stage of the intermittent fever, it aggravates and sometimes life-threatening it is also. And he has given one example of opium where a patient was in danger and he was lost his life because of it. Then one more important thing which he explained over there, if in between paroxysm, in between two paroxysms, the time interval is very slow. If patient is had consumed lot of allopathic medicines or where the disease has already advanced, in such types of cases, the stage of pyrexia where the perspiration start abating, that is the time when you introduce your remedy without waiting the small period in between. And that is the right time where you can introduce your remedy. So see how much detailed explanation about the finding it out remedy, and as well as how to tackle those diseases and when to give the remedies. All those points Hahnemann have explained thoroughly over there. Let us go ahead with the next aphorism. But before that, in 238, one more thing which he has mentioned, that many times it happens that if you give right remedy to the patient during the first attack interval, and then if remedy is right, potency is right, there will be no recurrence, no further appearance of the next paroxysms happens. But sometimes the paroxysm recurs. Then he explains that you repeat the same remedy with flushing technique in the in between period, and you can give that remedy into the such patient. But if after giving remedy and if after a sufficient interval the patient's state of disease reappears, it means that the uh, mm, causative principle, the noxious principle still persists inside the body, and it means that the area in which patient is residing is definitely a marshy area or mountainous area, and where if such a state happens, then you have to take that patient out of that area. Then he should be free from that area. Then you treat with the same type of treatment management, and then that patient is able to go to the same place without suffering more. So this is what we have learned up till now. Let us go with the 239 aphorism. As almost every medicine causes in its pure action a special peculiar fever, and even a kind of intermittent fever with its alternating states, differing from all other fevers that are caused by other medicines. Homeopathic remedies may be found in the extensive domain of medicines for all numerous varieties of natural intermittent fevers. And for great many of such fevers, even in a moderate collection of medicines already proved on healthy individuals. So what he explains, that here you have to match the remedy with the state of the patient. It is not just intermittent fever and remedy is there. Many times, many makes mistakes that syncona is the remedy for intermittent fever, and they used to give the syncona for each and every case. It is not so. We have ample remedies to treat the intermittent fever, and if we want to treat them, then we must have a thorough knowledge about how to take the totality of the case. You have to understand in detail how exactly the disease has appeared. You ask the patient, exactly tell the way it has appeared. In some patients, you get there is a chill stage followed by the heat. In some cases, you get the heat stage followed by sweat, missing the chill stage. In some patients, you get chill followed directly with the sweating. In some cases, you might get whole three states alternating with each other, chill followed by heat followed by sweat. So there are multiple ways with which it appears. And our remedies, which are proved on healthy human beings, we have exactly how it expresses their symptoms in people. We know the totality clearly. We know in certain remedies the chill is followed by heat. We know the remedies. There is a remedies which are in which only the heat is followed by sweating. There are remedies where chill is followed by sweating. There are remedies in which the only sweating is persistent. There are certain remedies where all three stages are persistent. And every remedy carries its own modalities. For example, in Syncona work, we have one symptom which is very important. There is no chill stage or no attack of the fever appears during the night. Alan has highlighted that. If you know that, then patient who is having the night paroxysms, you must exclude the Syncona bar because it has been very clearly mentioned over there, no attack during the night phase. So see, these are various important themes which we can get with the homeopathy, which are not there in modern science. With homeopathy, we are too precious to find it out exactly the remedy for that specific case. And the remedies which are already proved on healthy human beings, we are damn sure to match that totality. And this is what he has explained over there, that we have ample medicine for such types of cases, and we can find it out a remedy for that specific case of the disease. In such cases, one more thing is quite common. Many times you have to tackle the epidemics. For example, in between there was an epidemic of chikungunya fever. There was an epidemic of viral fever, dengue fevers in between. There was swine flu fever. And how one should approach towards the epidemics in such types of cases, that also have been explained by Hahnemann in those aphorisms. And that's why his approach in treating the intermittent fever, he has very clearly mentioned over there. So, further in 240, what he says, but if the remedy found to be homeopathic specific for the prevalent epidemic of the intermittent fever do not effect a perfect cure in someone or other patient. If it be not the influence of the marshy district that prevents the cure, it must always be soric miasm in background, in which case antisoric medicine must be employed until the complete relief is obtained. So, if you are treating the epidemic variety of intermittent fever and you are giving the remedies to the patient, what happens? The patient settles. If your remedy is perfect, patient settles after giving the medicine. And that state disappears. Where he has already mentioned no antisoric medicine should be given as a first remedy. But where you have to give a remedy which matches that state of intermittent fever. And in such types of cases, after completing the cure or after settling the acute attack, if it starts reappearing and if it is not a marshy area, if it is not a endemic area and still it recurs, it means the sora is lurking behind that disease. Then you must follow it immediately with a proper antisoric remedy to prevent a recurrence of the disease. See the approaches. How Hahnemann was clear with his ideas regarding how to tackle the disorders. And he was very clear in treating all varieties of diseases. He has given homeopathic approach towards the intermittent fevers, and then what he has done, he has classified the diseases. Then after classification in intermittent first varieties and alternating diseases, he has mentioned what should be your approach, what you have to take into consideration. Then second variety, then typical intermittent fevers. Again, he has classified them first, the non-febrile variety. Then homeopathic management of non-febrile variety. The thought was very clear in his mind. He mentioned exactly what totality you have to take into consideration, which are the things which you have to give highlighted, and then how to find it out a remedy. And he was very clear with the approaches that what may be the cause behind such non-febrile variety, that it is because of sora or it is because of soros alternating with syphilis. Then how you one can give a right remedy, so antisoric alternating with antisyphilitic, and at the same time, what is the role of cinchona. Same is true when he treats the intermittent fevers. And again, his thought was very clear. He mentions over there that if you are treating epidemic variety or sporadic variety of intermittent fever, then your remedy should not be antisoric to start with. And he explains over there, it should match that specific state. Find it out that remedy, give it to the patient. And if there is a recurrence, and if patient is not in marshy area or endemic area, then it's definitely because sora is lurking behind and you give the antisoric remedy. So see the clarity in the mind of Hahnemann. At the same time, he explains another thing that if there is a recurrence and if that area is a marshy area or endemic area for that disease, then you must take that patient out of that specific area, follow the same instruction, treat that patient accordingly, and after getting him settled, then he is able to go to that area. So clarity of the thoughts was very much there with Hahnemann. And what we should learn from him is nothing but the same thing. We should learn from him exactly the approaches. And our approach in our notes should be very clear. The way he has classified what should be your treatment, that should be written so that The logic develops in the similar manner. When allopaths, the consultants, they treat the patient, those who are brilliant enough, their approach, their thought is very clear when they are treating. We miss that. We have to learn such type of approach so that it becomes very clear and then it becomes simple to manage any variety of disease. And for that purpose, classification of diseases makes a clear idea to develop a proper approach. So we have learned two aphorisms, that aphorism 239 and 240. In today's session, one more will finish, that 241, where he has explained the concept of genus epidemicus. So 241, you can write down over there, genus epidemicus. And there are many wrong thoughts are there in people's mind. While last epidemic was there, COVID-19, many have mentioned different aspects, or it wrong interpretation of genus epidemicus was there in people's mind. Genus epidemicus is the remedy of that epidemic, prepared on the basis of common symptoms which happens to be there after treating many diseases, and those symptoms are the symptoms of the epidemic, not of specific patient. Genus epidemicus is the remedy developed with this totality of the epidemic, and that remedy is only used for the purpose of preventing the epidemic, preventing the further progress of epidemic in the healthy persons. It should be given only for the healthy person, not to the diseased person. Genus epidemicus is not a remedy to be given to each and every patient suffering from the epidemic disorder. Genus epidemicus is the remedy only for the purpose of prevention to and given to the healthy person in that specific area where the epidemic is going on. See, this is what he has mentioned in this next aphorism. And concept was very clear with Hahnemannian mind. Many have given arsenic to treat the COVID-19 epidemic to the patients who are suffering from COVID-19. Hahnemann have specifically mentioned every patient should be treated with its own totality. Remedy varies from person to person. It depends upon the state of the person and not a common traits of the epidemic. So genus epidemicus is the remedy for the prevention and not for the cure. This thought should be born clearly in everyone's mind. So what he says further in 241, just go through that. Epidemics of intermittent fever in situations where none are endemic are of the nature of chronic diseases, composed of single acute paroxysms. Each single epidemic is of a peculiar, uniform character common to all the individuals attacked. And when this character is found in totality of the symptoms common to all, it guides us to the discovery of homeopathic specific remedy suitable for all the cases, which is almost universally serviceable. Underline this is what he mentions, which is almost universally serviceable in those patients who enjoyed tolerable health before the occurrence of epidemic, that is to say, who were not chronic sufferers from the developed sore. So he is very clear with his thoughts that when you get epidemic of any certain specific intermittent fever, take down the totality of each and every patient, find it out the common traits of that epidemic. Then you choose a remedy on the basis of that totality. That remedy which comes out of that totality of that epidemic is the remedy called as genus epidemicus. And genus epidemicus should be given to the people who are not yet suffered from that epidemic diseases for the purpose of prevention, so that their immune system boosts up with that remedy, and that remedy is called as genus epidemicus. Here, if you are treating the case of epidemic disorder, this remedy will not going to work. The remedy for that specific patient depends upon the state of that person, the totality of that person. So genus epidemicus and remedy of the patient many a times varies. It never remains to be one and same unless the patient presents the same totality of the symptom. So one should be very clear regarding the ideas which Hahnemann have mentioned over there, and he was very clear with his thoughts, and he was very clear with the approaches how one should approach in such types of cases. So today we have finished three more aphorisms, aphorism number 239, 240 and 241. Tomorrow we'll continue with the 242 and most probably 242, 243 and 244. We can finish so that it will get completed. Next, either tomorrow or day after tomorrow, this session of intermittent diseases will be continued. So that's all for today. If there are any queries, we can have a chat, and otherwise we'll conclude the session. Any queries, any questions?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Good.
Sir, is it so that genus epidemicus can varies from homeopath to homeopath?
No, generally what should happen if you clearly take out the totality properly of the epidemic? It should not be theoretical genus epidemicus. If you want, one has to come to the specific totality, one should work with the epidemic cases. He should take out the totality of that epidemic, means common trait, and then you can reach to the right remedy. It should not be theoretical. Last time there was a problem because many people have theoretically explained the remedies. Theoretical remedy will not going to work in such types of cases. You have to find it out there. I have worked out many cases of the epidemic of the COVID, and then I have explained, I have put forward the first message on the FB that arsenic is the specific remedy, genus epidemicus remedy, and which was also at the time of swine flu also. So it was worked. It was after finding it out the cases, one should come to the conclusion. And second important thing, if one has prescribed any remedy to the patient, on the basis of totality, by just of treating patient with two or three remedies, two or three patients with the remedy, one should not prescribe same remedy to the as a genus epidemicus. Genus epidemicus, concept of genus epidemicus is based upon after examining many cases, you must get a right totality and find it out a right remedy of that epidemic. So there are no different genus epidemicus. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And which are the criteria for selecting the genus epidemicus? Mental generals, physical generals, subjective symptoms.
Generally, when the patient, how the patient presents, that's a question. What patient presents? Generally, when patient presents with such disorders, he is always comes to you with the physical symptoms and not mental symptoms. Mental state associated with the physicals is definitely we have to take into consideration, but that will guide you towards the remedy for that patient, not a state, not a remedy for the epidemic. State is different. Keep it in your mind. State of disposition and mind varies from individual to individual. It never, it is not fixed with the disease. It is fixed with the individual. Disease symptoms are different and the individual symptoms are different. Here you have to match symptoms of the patient related with his disease. That matters a lot in finding it out a genus epidemicus. Okay.
Yes, sir. Clear. Thank you.
Any other query? Any other question? So we'll conclude the session, and tomorrow we'll meet again at 6 o'clock. And keep it in your mind, on Friday 9 o'clock we'll have a session on materia medica, specifically the aurum and its case, aurum and its salts. It is a good session which defines many things. So ask your friends to join the session on Friday. Thanks a lot.